Coach Wilson, thanks for joining us. We'll start it out with Austin Ward. Lead us off, Austin.
Hey, Kevin.
Hello.
I know that the big topic of conversation for us is about the quarterbacks, and throughout your career, you've always been flexible with what you could do with the offense and play to their strengths. I just wonder, when you look at these three, how different are they? How much would you have to, change anything to suit their strengths between the three of them?
I think we need a lot of time. You go through what we just, we had a really, I thought, strong winter session, even with that couple-day pause. We had some great workouts and, leadership development and all that. And we're not around to be around them when they're throwing the ball and stuff like that. So, you got one practice. And fortunately, what's unusual with those 15 early graduates, we have so many numbers that sometimes in spring you get a little tight with your numbers and maybe can't do as many reps. We have enough numbers that'll help all these young guys get reps, because you can practice a hair longer and get a few more plays at 7-on-7 at team. Because to me, they just need time. I know Coach Day and Coach Dennis, like you said, with some comments about me, I think, we'll always play to their strengths. I don't think the offense ever changes, but you play to me to always what the offensive line can do and what the quarterback can do. And I think in time, we got plenty of time with spring and then the summer workouts to figure that out. So they look good through winter. We've just had one practice with a few throws. So to say the strengths of a guy or weaknesses, we know a little bit more about CJ and Jack. At the same time, we missed a lot of those guys. They missed last spring. They missed last preseason. So all those, reps and, when we're getting into game week, back then Justin was getting 80% of the reps in practice. So, I think we got a lot of water to go over the dam, a lot of time. They all three are talented. They all three are working hard, and they have great supporting cast, and that's going to be fun.
Ready, we'll go next to Clay Hull, WSYX.
Coach, what does the Ruckert return mean for Ohio State football?
Well, in my world, losing Jake and Luke, I don't think people can really undervalue how good Luke is. He's a 3-year starter at tight end. I've had several pro scouts say they think he might be as good at blocking tight end as there is coming out in the draft. Jeremy has developed that way. And I do think Jeremy has a strong skill set that will hopefully, even though we got all those receivers back, we can maybe look to find him more in the progression to get more touches. So I think he can maybe be as complete a tight end as maybe there is in college this year, because I think his range of catching the ball, there might be a couple guys that maybe rawer, real faster tight ends, but the combination of blocking, route running, catching, I think he's setting up to have a super year. He's leaned up. He's about 248. So he's trimmed up a little bit. And I think he's strong enough. I think when you're young, sometimes you think you need to gain weight to be a better blocker. I think his strength level's gotten well enough. I know we were visiting last year with one of the best pros in the game, and he said he was weighing 240 pounds. But he's very, very fast and very, very physical. And I think Jeremy's getting enough confidence in himself as a blocker, and his strength level with Coach Mick has improved, that I think he's trying to maybe be a little leaner and hopefully be a little quicker in and out breaks to create some separation, and hopefully we can get him more involved in the pass game. I think he sets up to have a great year. I think that's a huge piece of a good offense, is the tight end, because I think it connects the run game and the pass game protection. Basically, we're playing left tackle and wide receiver. And then we lose about 30 minutes a day because we got to go to kicking meetings and kicking practice. So, we got to do all the kicking stuff, and we got to play 2 real positions. So it's a lot of development. And for an elite player, I think it's one of the qualities of our program. He is an elite player that came in, has been a great developer. And I think he's developing himself in Clay to have a great year.
That's a complete answer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty, we'll go next to Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Kevin, another tight end question. How close are you to determining whether you have a second or third tight end that you can play with confidence? And what do you need to see this spring from people other than Jeremy Ruckert?
Yeah, that's a huge because one, you need more than just Jeremy because of the flow of the game and tempo of the game. So the second guy's got to play a little bit like a second running back and sometimes even a third. Same with receivers, all those skill guys, let alone the personnel of 12 packaging. So I think Cade Stover, who looks like he's was recognized by our strength coaches as one of the top performers in the offseason. I think Cade coming through, there'll be a big spring for Cade. Mitch Rossi's kind of fullbackish, 6'2", about 245, where he can do some things as a tight end, but he's kind of a hybrid fullback. He'll have a role. And then Joe Royer is going to be a guy that needs to come on, because if we can have a second tight end, and even as good as Jackson and J-Mo and all the receivers are out there, the young guys coming in are going to be outstanding with the Mecca and Marvin. And of course, you got Chris and Garrett and Wiggs. We got a bunch of talented wide guys out there that can catch the ball, but it'd be nice to that second tight end can get on the field, like maybe not as much as last year, but it'd be nice to get him out there. So I don't think we have to figure it out by spring, because I think we're going to need the summer to continue that development of physical toughness and strength level. And I think it'll probably be middle of preseason before we know if we truly have a second tight end that we can compete for a Big Ten championship with, because we're going to need that player to be the complete team we need to be.
All righty, we'll go next to Dave Biddle, 247. Dave.
Hi, Kevin. Can you just kind of break down your expectations for the offensive line this year? I mean, even losing Wyatt and Josh, could this group be just as good, better? Just how do you view the offensive line going into this year?
We got to find the best five, between guys like, Paris, Johnson, DeJuan Jones, Matt Jones, Harry Miller, Enoch, Ryan Jacoby, got some young freshmen coming in. So, you got your two tackles back with Nick and Thayer. You've got Harry started a great deal. Matt Jones played a lot down the stretch. So, DeJuan's got to start under his belt. So you got some guys that have played in critical games. Paris was playing a lot in the Clemson and in the national championship game. So you've got some guys that play, but we've got to find the best five. And in my opinion, we always need 8. You need a third tackle you can win with, like we're talking tight end. You need a third guard you can win with, and you need that second center. Maybe that guard and center is the same guy. So we need 7 or 8. The key would be in time, though, who's the best 5? I don't know if that shakes out till middle of preseason, tell you the truth. But very talented, very athletic. Maybe the most competitive group on offense right now, the way they practiced in the winter. They were probably the top offensive group. And when the linemen are having a great winter, if all the lifting and running coach Mick puts them through, that shows the maturity. Thayer and Nick are maybe 2 of the best leaders we have on offense. So that group is going to be awesome. And time will tell. I think, Dave, the best in time, that best 5. And I've always thought you need 7 or 8 to play like we need to play.
Just a real quick follow-up. Matt Jones started 3 games for you guys, which was almost half the season when you play 8 games. And I know Coach Day said he played well. Was that a surprise to you, Kevin, how well Matt Jones played?
Matt, like many of our players, very, very talented, number one. Sometimes maybe lacks the maturity or the confidence level early. And when you come in like so many of our guys, and no disrespect to you and the other recruiting guys, these guys get hyped up so much when you're playing tight end or O-line. Sometimes it takes about 2 years to figure it out. All the physicalness and the maturity and the mental maturity and physical maturity you need, and the confidence of the schemes. And for Coach Stud to keep him embraced, or you saw the same with Nick Petit. I thought Nick played maybe last year about as good as anyone, and really didn't play those first 2 years. It happened with Thayer and Wyatt, that, the first 2. So there's a little bit of grooming process with that position, and it takes a little time. And I think it's a credit to Matt to have the wherewithal and the courage and the toughness to keep fighting through the trash and the day-to-day grind to become a winning player. And hopefully he's scratching the surface, and he'll keep doing that, because I think he's talented with upside. But we can throw about 12, 13, 14 linemen like that. We can throw about 40 guys on offense like that are talented and are fighting through that to become the player that they're capable of being.
Thank you, Kevin.
All righty, we'll go next to Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Kevin, just another question back to the tight ends. You guys ran a lot of 12 personnel, 2 tight ends the last couple of years. How much of that was due to depth and having somebody like Luke Farrell to have with Jeremy Ruckert, or is that kind of the preference moving forward, just trying to kind of gauge how important it is to develop that?
Well, I think and Dave just asked the question line, you got to find the best 5, and then you got to find your best 11. So when that tight end goes out there, what's his ability to be productive? What's he bringing to the offense? And if he's not bringing a chance to be a productive blocker, route runner, help us in protection, hey, you stay with a third receiver, or you can even go to a 4th receiver and take them both out. When you don't have a tight end game, it does hurt in protection a little bit once in a while, where you're helping those tackles on the edges and picking up blitzes. It does hurt the run game, but now the quarterback has to read it more or RPO throw it more. So I do think the better the tight end takes a lot of stress off the quarterback and O-line, but you don't have to play them. You know, as talented as those receivers are, they better be pretty good because you can throw 2 deep, 3 deep at receiver. It's going to be outstanding. So I think the offense goes to basically, Joey, just getting the best 11 guys on the field as much as possible, not minimizing our ability for the defense to attack us. We still have to attack the defense. And sometimes the tight ends can alleviate some pressure, but they got to be productive. And we've had some serious talks with Cade and Joe. Corey Rouse, a transfer from SMU. There was a scholarship player that's walked on here. It's had a great offseason. He's getting in shape, good enough to maybe help us in some short, not be a starter, but help us at tight end and be maybe a short yardage type guy and have a role. So the more those guys can play, the fine. But as a tight end guy, I don't advocate for them. I advocate for the best players. And I'm just trying to help them develop to become the best they can and hopefully the best they can to help us win and get on the field.
All right, I got time for just a couple more. We'll go to Bill Landis for the Athletic.
Hey, Kevin, sounds like Parrish Johnson's going to start at guard this spring. I'm just wondering what you think of him there as opposed to tackle, and then how interchangeable you think tackle and guard are in your offense.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, the pass sets will be a little bit different, but he's athletic enough. Most guys that play guard that have to go to tackle sometimes aren't athletic long enough to block those fast edge rushers. For sure, Parrish is. Sometimes some of those guys can maybe be a little bit too big to be guard, but I personally think, especially if you're staying on the same side and you're going from a right-handed stance or a left-handed stance, I'm a left guard going to left tackle, you just move over. It's a little bit different matchup, but the words are the same. I'm play side, I'm back side, I'm man side of protection, I'm a slide wall side of protection. So I think it's pretty easy. And that's the way I think, you could see yourselves getting your best 5 on the field because just because someone is slated as a guard, if that tackle can play guard, fine. If that guard can play if that guard can play center, if that center can play guard, like who's the best 5? And really at the end, who's the best 7? I believe when we played the national championship game, that the team that won the game had the backup center playing in the game. And I believe the guy that won the Remington Award wasn't playing in the game. So the backup had to be good enough to win a championship. And I think that's what we're looking for here is to win this thing. It takes about 24, 28 guys on offense to win. And that's what we're going to do, keep developing these guys so they all can be starters when called upon, and they can all play championship football when called upon because that's the standard.
All righty, we'll wrap up Coach Wilson with Dan Hope from 11 Warriors.
Hey, Kevin, obviously you guys have a lot of different guys in the mix there at running back. Just kind of how do you view that competition playing out this spring with all the different guys you have at that spot?
With the 2 freshmen here, and when spring's not like it was years and years ago, where there's a lot of scrimmaging. So the ball security issue would be, comment today in a meeting room with my players was, why aren't freshmen on special teams? And one guy said, well, they're not good enough. And then my senior said, because you don't trust them. And I think the key at running back is you're giving that guy the game. You're giving him the football. We play football and we put the game in your hand. So it's one thing to make plays, but you're really looking for a guy that you can trust. Takes care of the ball, understands protection, takes a little bit of time. I think we'll get some of that in spring, but I still think like so many of these positions, I think we'll go through summer, not to drag out in depth charts and give you guys all kinds of reasons to write all summer and speculate and all that stuff, because I got to keep Tim May awake and all that stuff as we go through the summer months. But as we get to there, I think it's going to take about half a preseason because we missed so much last year that even these second-year players are almost like freshmen. And we got to keep playing through and just keep playing the game and loving each other and learning how to play and rocking and rolling. So, but those 2 freshmen being here, it'll be nice because we'll get a good judge of where they're at with Master and Mayan and Marcus and all the guys that we have, Xavier Johnson, et cetera.
All righty, Coach. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it today.
It's always a great day when you got spring ball and a little basketball in the afternoon for the Buckeyes. So go Bucks. Have a great one.
Come out here. Anytime. Okay, you're live.
How's
Ready?
everybody doing today?
Good, coach.
Good.
Good. Fantastic. Good to
Excellent.
see everybody, even if it's in little squares.
All righty, let's lead it off with Tony Gerdeman from Buckeye School.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, Kerry, sounds like you're doing pretty well for day of spring. I can't imagine you'd be doing any better.
Come on, man. It doesn't get any better than this. But you know what? Before you ask a question, I just want to wish our basketball team good luck today at 3 o'clock. I loved watching them last week in the tournament. I thought the way they played and intensity and they were aggressive. You know, I just really enjoyed watching them play. I think they're going to have a great run. It was really exciting. So good luck to those guys today. Thanks, Tony. Go ahead and fire away.
Yeah, we talked to Ryan on Wednesday. And he mentioned how Lathan Ransom stepped up last year, and it sure seems like he's going to have a big say in what this defense does this year. And I'm just wondering, where is he? Is he your deep safety? Like, what do you envision from him this year?
Yeah, he'll be playing a cover safety role primarily. If we get, the key, Tony, for us is everybody healthy and is everybody ready to go when the foot hits the ball for the first game. So we know that we won't have everybody in the spring, but we're certainly making plans for that. And so right now, Lathan is playing in that cover safety spot, but he will also have some roles in some other areas in the back end.
Now, when you say cover, is that the deep safety or is that the?
No, that would be the guy in the slot.
Okay, that's
where
what I
he
wanted to
played.
say.
Where he played last year when he played on third down and those kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
We'll go next to Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on SI.
Hi, Kerry. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
Hey, want to ask you about Zach Harrison because Coach Day had spoken quite a bit about how he was impressed with Zach's emerging leadership. He said that Thayer and Zach probably stood out more than anybody else. He was less surprised by Thayer, but maybe a little bit more surprised by the way that Zach Harrison had really stepped up throughout the last few weeks. Can you give us an idea of your perspective of the way that he's impressed you and maybe what you're expecting from him this spring?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's absolutely the truth. He had a phenomenal 7 weeks in the weight room, not just taking care of his business and his body, but making sure that he's holding others accountable. It's really important, I think, especially for younger players, to see guys who are great athletes that are also great workers. And I think when your best players are your hardest workers, you got a chance to be good. And so we had some of those guys that aren't here anymore that were those type of players. And Zach stepped right in, filled that void, and was very, very impressive with his leadership. And he's excited for the season, and I'm really excited to watch him play.
All righty. We'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
What's up,
Kerry.
Bill?
How are you?
How's your ping pong game, Bill?
Haven't played. We haven't talked to you since the Alabama game, and I hate to bring up a bad memory, but how hard? What's that?
I said, then don't.
Well, gotta.
You really hate to, Bill. Don't bring it up. I mean, you get to choose.
Well, I have to ask. What was that like for you in the aftermath of that? And did that? I asked Ryan this question a while ago. You guys have been able to have the success that you've had because you guys are really talented and you have a good scheme. But Alabama was, and some of that's a great Alabama team. Did it make you reassess anything about your defensive scheme or philosophy because of the way that they were able to attack you? And just, how much of how hard was that whole thing?
Well, it was incredibly painful. I think the thing that, I don't know how to say it, the journey that our kids were on to get to that game was phenomenal. We try for people to reflect on that. If you were in this building and you had Thanksgiving dinner in the indoor and you had Christmas Day in the indoor and you showed up every day not sure who was going to be able to practice or coach and everything was being shuffled all the time and games were canceled and all the uncertainty, the season was canceled, then it was on and guys opt out, guys opt back in. Just the entirety of the season. And without going back through that, but being on that journey and being able to get to that last game was truly remarkable. And then I feel very responsible that we didn't play our best in that environment. And you guys, want to make sure I say when we didn't play our best, that's on me. That's my job. And so it was very painful, and it was awful, and that hadn't happened to us very much here. It just doesn't. And you try and work so hard, you pour everything you have into it. The kids poured everything they have into getting to that point. You want to be at your best, and obviously we weren't. And so that was very hard. Anybody who says it wasn't hard doesn't care. And then it makes you rethink how you do things. And there's no question that this entire off season has been a great process of exactly that. Rethinking how we do things and how we're going to do things in the future.
Is there anything you can say about how the defense might change as a result?
Nope.
Okay.
All right.
Why, I mean, really, why would I? I love you, Bill, but why would I?
All righty. We'll go next to Nathan Barrett from Cleveland.com.
Kerry, what do you need to see out of the young cornerbacks, either the returning freshmen or the new arrivals, that, especially those who are coming back, that you couldn't observe last year or didn't get really a chance to evaluate with them last year?
Yeah, we need to be able to play press man to man. We need to be able to do it over and over and over again, and we need to be able to do it successfully. You go back, I watched every period of individual from the entire season last year, and we only got 7 sessions of real one-on-ones in the course of a year, and that's very challenging, right? That in order to be able to do that job, you got to practice it over and over again. So we got that in today. We got started with that, and so that was great. It was awesome. We're going to get so many more opportunities, and the kids that are here and the kids that are coming, that's my expectation. We got to learn it, we got to play it, and we got to be really good at it.
All righty. Let's go next to Austin Ward from Lettermen Row. Austin.
Hey, Kerry.
Hey, Austin, how you doing?
Awesome.
Thank you.
When you look back at last year, and you've talked a lot about owning the responsibility and that it wasn't to the standard. When you look back on it, I know there are a ton of factors that went into it, from missing spring, injuries, COVID, the individual periods you just talked about. When you looked at it as a coach, what did you think was the biggest challenge to overcome? What caused this in your mind more than anything else?
Yeah, I would say all of the above. And I also think, Austin, it's important to recognize we won all the games but one, and got farther than we had the year before. We got to the championship game. Now, I'm not saying that we would be, I can tell you this, we get to the championship game again, we'd be really happy. And sometimes in situations you can get too caught up in numbers and those kind of things, that the number that matters is victories. And there were a lot of things that, we were 3rd in the country in turnover ratio. There were a lot of things that we did well. We just have to do other things better. And so, I think, I don't know, did you ask me if there's one single thing?
I just maybe if there was one thing in your mind more than others, because I know there are a bunch of factors.
Yeah, to me, I think just more than anything, having a practice with the whole team there is really the biggest thing. And if we can get to that point consistently, I really like this team.
Thanks, Kerry.
Sure.
All righty. We'll go next to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan.
Hey, Kerry.
Hey, Dan.
Last year, I remember asking you after the shutdown about, installing during the spring, and you said you didn't want to do a lot of that when the players weren't there. How much did that impact what you were able to do schematically last season, and how much does having a full spring allow you to do more this year?
Significantly on both fronts. You can't, I've done this Zoom and I love it. I love the fact that we're able to do it. It was a great answer for the situation, but the reality is that's not real teaching now. That's not, it's very hard to teach in the manner which we do, with direct teaching and back and forth feedback from the players and communication, and to be able to do that in this environment. We all know there's a pause, right? And you guys got a cell phone on your desk and you peek at that, and we shouldn't expect that our players are any different than you guys are. And so for me, being able to look them in the eye and then do it on the field, that's the thing you miss. And I think that those opportunities, in addition to which, having Coach Marotti be able to work with guys in all of this off-season time makes significant difference in their body. So it's not just the scheme, but it's also their conditioning level, their ability to be in shape when we hit the field in the fall. But this opportunity for us to install what we want to install and get practiced at it and find out what we can do and what we can't do in the package is important. It's critical.
All righty. We'll go next to Bill Landis from The Athletic. Bill.
Kerry, going back to what you were saying a few questions ago about teaching these young guys to play press man, and you didn't get those opportunities last year. I'm wondering, with this defense in particular, the base that you all play, just how much more difficult it is when maybe you don't feel as comfortable playing man coverage, and then you have to rely a lot on cover 3, and maybe offenses can't anticipate that. How much more difficult does that make your life? And then maybe combined with that, do you guys need to add some more split safety coverages to this package than you had last year?
I think you're perceptive, Bill, and I appreciate that. I think that if we're going to hang our hat, our first pitch, if we're standing on a mound, we're throwing man to man. Now we got to be able to play it, right? That's our fastball. That's what we got to be able to do. And so we've got to be able to play that. And then everything else kind of bleeds off of that. And so how much 3 deep, how much split safety, how much of anything else we play kind of has to bleed off our ability to play man to man. And we have to be able to do that. Or then if we can't, then we have to change what we do. But I think we got the guys that can do it, and I like our chances.
All righty, we got Thayer and Zach ready for you. So this will be the last question for Coach. We'll go to Joey Kaufman from the Dispatch.
Hey, Kerry, just wanted to ask about the safety spot especially with Marcus Hooker being out to start camp. How do you, I guess, see that free safety spot?
Josh Proctor lined up there today. He played extremely well and is going to play really well. And Bryson Shaw stepped right in behind him. And we have a young freshman that played there, a kid who's a high school senior. Jansen Dunn stepped in there today. We're going to be versatile. We're going to have some guys that are going to be able to do more than one job in the back end. We're going to have to. That's one thing COVID taught you, right? You got to have guys that can do it. Well, same thing's true if injuries or anything else arise. So, but Proc went out there and played it, and he played it well today. So I was excited about that.
All righty, Coach. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
guys.
it.
Tim, I see you.
All right, we'll bring up Thayer Munford here first,
What's up,
and
Thayer?
Zach, followed by Zach Harris. All righty, Thayer, looking good. We'll get it started here. Let's start with Jared Smalley. Jared, lead us off.
Hi, Thayer. Wanted to ask you a very basic question. Why are you back? What do you want to accomplish?
I love this question. The reason why I came back is because I gotta get my academics together, and I'm like one semester away until I actually graduate. And another part of me coming back is my mom too, because she also wants me to get my degree. I'm not just the only one who wants my degree. My mom also wants me to get my degree, so I can be the first person in my family to actually, graduate college. Because that's the big part for me. Is like, yeah, football is good and all. But at the same time, my academics is a little bit more important for me, because I'm the first generation to actually go to college at a big major school.
All righty, let's go next to Tim May from Lettermen Row. Tim.
Yeah, I thought maybe I was on another teleconference. Sorry about that. Thayer, when you guys took the field today, ran on the field, who was your quarterback? And number two, how good do you feel about this line that could feature like Paris Johnson at guard and right on down the line? How do you think this line's going to shape up?
Oh, to be honest, I block for whoever. It doesn't matter who's back there at all. We got 3 amazing quarterbacks that's fighting for the spot, competing for the spot. CJ Stroud, Jack, and Kyle, and they doing great. And for his offensive line, I feel like we're gonna have a great offensive line. Like we're gonna have some young guys that have to step up and have to come in, of course, yes. But also at the same time though, they are older and they're a little bit more mature than underclassmen in the past. So I'm really excited to actually see how the young guys gonna come up.
Thanks, man.
All righty, let's go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch. Bill.
Yeah, there. Can you just kind of give your impressions of the quarterbacks? What struck you about them in the short time you've been with them this offseason?
What stood out with me about them is that they love the work. I see them out after every workout, just throwing balls to the wide receivers. They try and get better. They want the spot. They want to compete for the spot. And when we see that, for us offensive linemen, we are more comfortable actually blocking. And when the receivers see them throwing the ball, asking them to actually oh, can we throw? Let's do some top ends or something like that. That they makes everybody else feel a lot better for the team. Because what are we without the quarterback?
Thank you.
All righty. Next, we'll go to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan.
Hey, Thayer, obviously you've played a lot of football at Ohio State, but coming back for this additional year, in what areas do you think that you can continue to improve your game?
Everything. It's not just one thing. It's everything that I need to work on. You know, I got to improve from last season. Of course, last season was kind of like messed up in a way because of COVID, of course. But also at the same time, though, like I'm not the person to actually like be like, oh, I'm complacent where I'm at. That's not me. That's nobody on this team. Like everybody wants to get better, you know, and I just don't see myself at that level yet. You know, I still want to strive. I push myself mentally so I can actually make sure I block my guy right, go and get Zach Harrison, Tyree Smith, anybody that's I line up across this spring. Like I'm making sure I get better off of them. Because to be honest, in my mind, they the most talented defensive lineman that Ohio State has, in my mind.
All righty, let's go next to Austin Ward from Lettermen Row. Austin.
There, didn't you accept an invitation to the Senior Bowl?
Yes, I did accept the invitation, but I really didn't feel like comfortable yet for me leaving because I knew I need to get my degree before I had to move on because that's what I promised my mom and anybody that was around me throughout my whole senior year of high school. So that like pushed me to actually stay here and work on my craft for the NFL for next year.
Yeah, so that led to me to think, well, when did you make this decision? Because at some point, it seemed like you must have at least been preparing to leave. And then when you maybe told Coach Stud or Coach Day that you were coming back, were they surprised? What was the reaction?
To be honest, they wasn't as surprised, but also at the same time, though, like I had to make the grown decision to come back to finish out my academics. You know, we all talk about it before. Like my academics are a lot more important than football because, like I said before, the first question, I'm the first generation in my family just to graduate college or go to college for real, and I'm honored to actually be that first generation, so I can tell it to my kids and my grandkids, so they can tell it to their kids. So I'm grateful to be in this position that I am right now.
Thanks, man.
All righty, next up, Nathan Barrett, Cleveland.com.
Following up kind of on that same theory or that same question of, talking to people on the team about this, did you feel you owed Paris Johnson any explanation? Because he's a guy who came here expecting to be the left tackle for this season because you were going to be a senior who was graduating. So did you feel you owed him any explanation, and just what was his reaction to you coming back?
Well, me and Paris and Dewan are like really close. You know, we talk outside of football, and I was in a spot of like staying and leaving. I was again having like mixed emotions, but I was telling him like before I actually made the decision I should come back that I'm gonna be coming back and we're gonna be working like no matter what. Like I could be on the sideline, we can still be working. You know, we're gonna make sure we do the corrections right. So.
All righty, got time for a couple more. We'll go to Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Scoop.
Hey, there, Matt Jones proved to be a versatile and valuable member of the program last year. Where do you line up for you guys today, and what do you see from him so far this offseason?
Right now, Matt Jones has something going on in his personal life, and I don't feel like going on with that because that's his personal stuff. And I'm sorry for not asking the question correctly. I'm sorry, but that's his personal. I don't feel comfortable actually telling his business without him.
I was asking a football question, wasn't even aware. Sorry about that.
No, you good. I'm sorry.
And then Nick Petit, Freyr, let's move to him. Had a tremendous year last year. What is next for him, do you think?
To be honest, it's the same thing that we all work on. It's just get better, be better than we was last year. Last year we had a duo from PFF, and we was actually pretty good. And also we looked at the film. It's like certain things we need to correct on, and we all, like me and him both know, and Coach Stud knows like what we need to correct on as well. And we push ourselves, and we're gonna push the underclassmen like under us to actually like go harder, do the technique right, do the fundamentals right, Let's be confident in yourself. Don't be so like uptight and like just be confident and be loose and just have go on the field and have fun.
All righty, and last question for Thayer, Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on SI.
Hey Thayer, you've made it pretty clear that academics and getting a degree are pretty important to you. Whenever football is over for you, whether that's coming up shortly or many years from now, what do you want to do what are some of the thoughts you've had around building a career away from football?
I really want to like go into like athletic director / football coach. The reason why is because I see like I had Nate Moore, for instance, like he coaches at Madison right now, and he brought me in and just took me in under his wing, and I looked at that and I was like, okay, I really want to do this because there's more people like myself and in worse situations that I was in, and I want to help them out so they can so they won't be a statistic in like society, and that's my main goal for everybody. I don't want to just work with UNC kids. I just want to work with people that actually want to actually go to college and better themselves. I'm not just picking and choosing whoever. It's just if the kid wants to come to me to actually go to college or be better at football, I want to help them out as best I can.
And if I can follow up on that real quick, just can you give us an idea at how, whether you've had conversations with Gene Smith or with your coaches, what kinds of things have they done to try to help you prepare for that kind of for that kind of career?
So it was like a lot, like not last year, but like 2 years ago. Me and Coach Tucker, we had like set up like something in like in some high school, so I can actually like follow them around, see what they do as far as like athletic directors and see what do they actually do. And it was a great experience for me. And I also want to like coach, but I haven't gotten to that point yet because I've been busy with academics and making sure I'm on track for academics as well.
Thanks, man.
Hey, Mike, Thayer, could I ask one quickie? When are you scheduled to graduate, or what schedule are you on to graduate?
I'm on track to graduate in August.
I got you. All right, man. Thanks.
No problem.
All righty. Thank you, Thayer. Really appreciate your time today.
Appreciate y'all.
We'll bring in Zach Harrison. It'll be our final interviewer of the day. Interviewee. All righty, Zach. Thank you very much. We'll lead this one off with Austin Ward from Lettermen Row.
Zach, there's so many people praising you for the way that you've attacked this offseason and maybe changed. Do you feel different heading into year 3? What does it mean when the way people are talking about you becoming a leader right now?
I just made the decision at the end of last season, going into this offseason. I was like, I'm just going to give everything I got to this program. We'll give everything I got to every workout, every sprint, every drill, every rep. And I think the coaches are seeing the results of that, just the mindset change that I had going into this season.
All righty, let's go next to Spencer Holbrook from Lettermen Row. Spencer.
That's the thing for me. I'm not trying to be a leader. I'm just being myself. I feel like I've built a bond with the guys and they trust me and I trust them and they know that Zach's going to do the right thing. So when I tell them or when I ask them, tighten up, you got to do this, that, and third, then they listen, they have that trust in me, and it goes both ways. They know that if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, they can tell me, Zach, you got to tighten up, you got to run the ball or whatever the issue is. And that's how I feel like the best leadership and that's my way of leadership is the give and go and the bond. That's how I built up my voice for my teammates.
All righty, next up, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Zach, when you look back on last season, I guess how do you assess your performance? How did you kind of like look back on year 2 here?
Year 2, to be honest, I didn't have quite the year that I wanted to. Year 2, and that's why I changed my mindset. That's why I changed my approach going into this offseason, and hopefully this fall, y'all can see the results of the hard work.
All right, and we'll go next to Nathan Barrett at Cleveland.com.
Hey, Zach, there was sort of this ongoing debate or conversation last season between the idea of the defensive front creating pressure and then actually getting home for sacks. How would you evaluate your own performance there? And is it something you feel like needs to convert from one to the other?
Yeah, it's definitely something we talked about, all the D linemen. We're getting there, but we got to get home. And that's something that we focused on going into the spring. The first practice was today. And we're going to get on the film on Monday, and we're going to watch it, and we're going to assess it, and we're going to talk about, okay, these are the things that we need to do to get that extra half a yard or that extra 3 feet or that extra inch to get to the quarterback. And that's something that we've focused on heavily going into this offseason and spring ball and eventually camp in the season.
All righty, next up, Jared Smalley, WCMH.
Well, Zach, you're sounding awfully motivated, and clearly you've impressed your coaches with that. But I wanted to ask specifically why. You were talking about your performance from last year. Is it simply a consistency standpoint, or what's maybe the thing that you feel like you need to take that next step for?
Yeah, it's probably consistency. I still have flashes of my potential, and I got to try to get to where I can get that every single play on a consistent basis, in and out, every down, every game, where there's no fall off.
All righty, we'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Zach. You just mentioned potential. That's a word that's obviously followed you around since high school, especially being a local guy. How much pressure have you felt to live up to that, to be the next Bosa, the next Chase Young? I mean, obviously it's hard to compare yourself to other people, and that's not fair. But do you feel like you're ready to take that jump and be the next dominant Ohio State defensive end? I feel like I can. Yeah, I feel like I'm ready to do that. Like I said, I've been giving my all to this year and this training, and I've seen changes in my body, and I've seen changes in the way I feel and the way I'm moving. So I feel like I'm excited for this next step to be, to really make my own legacy here, not try to follow anybody's footsteps. I'm trying to be myself to where people know Zach Harrison. That's the name that they know. And can you say how your body's changed? Have you put on weight? Anything with your body?
The biggest thing for me is really flexibility. I've been stretching more in the training room and trying to get, my hips and everything where I can bend the edge and feel more fluid in my movements.
Right, thank you.
All righty, next up, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Hey, Zach, you had a front row seat a couple years ago to see what Chase Young did in his third year at Ohio State. What are the things you feel like you can take from watching him and maybe apply to your own, third year jump at Ohio State?
Practice habits. That's one thing I focused on when I was freshman watching Chase. He made plays in practice that y'all never saw. And that correlates to games, and that's one thing that I took to heart. You got to show it in practice, because it's not just going to show up on Saturdays.
All righty, let's go next to Tim May from Lettermen Row.
Yeah, Zach, if we don't get to watch practice, obviously, but if we'd watched you today, for example, what would we have seen that's different about you compared to even the end of last year? You're talking about this new dedication, et cetera, but more savage. How would you describe your approach?
I'm just trying to play fast all the time. There's a little cart. I'm just trying to play fast every play, get my play speed up, and like I said previously, I just trying to make more plays in practice, have my production points go up as we're graded out after practice.
Thanks, man.
All righty, let's go next to Doug Maurice, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Zach. You talked about that you just didn't quite have the year last year that you wanted to. You obviously still had a good year, but especially early in the year, were you playing as much as you wanted to? I know you guys always rotate defensive ends, but how did you feel about sort of your role in that rotation at different parts of the year?
I mean, I trust Coach Jay, and I trust the rotation, and that's worked, and that's what's best. I feel like for our D line, keep us fresh, like we always talk about, keep us fresh, keep us fast, and that's one thing I got 100% faith in all the coaches and what their decisions is what I believe in.
And just real quick, we know the legacy of defensive ends here at Ohio State, from the Bosa brothers to Chase and everybody else. For a guy like you who is such a big recruit, is it fair? Is it to talk about that in regards to you? Does it does it add any pressure? Is it unfair? Do you welcome that? Like, what's it like when your position has such a legacy at Ohio State?
I mean, we don't really talk about it in house. I mean, most of that comes from outside, so I don't really think about it often, and I'm not trying to follow anyone's footsteps. Like I said, I'm trying to be myself. I'm trying to build my own name and build my own image here at Ohio State. You know, leave my own legacy at Ohio State. So that's one thing that doesn't really enter my mind a lot. Just the follow in the footsteps. That's not something that I think about often. I'm trying to build my own self. You know, start my own path.
Thank you, Zach.
All righty, next up, Clay Hall, WSYX.
Hey, Zach, good to see you. Who replaces Tommy Togiai, and what did you take from his his rapid rise, playing so well in the postseason and now to be a draft eligible player?
Yeah, that's one of the things that helped me change my mindset. I saw Tommy do that last year. You know, coming back from my sophomore, his junior year, he had goals and he wanted to reach them. And you should see him every workout. He went hard on the sprints, every practice. He was giving 100%, and that's something that I took from Tommy, and that's something that I tried to incorporate.
Yeah, who fills that spot, sir?
We got a lot of guys. We got Antoine that knows, Teron plays knows. We got a couple of freshmen, Tyleek, who looks really good, really promising guy. Really, we got most of the inside guys are back, so
yeah,
a lot of guys have the opportunity to step up into that role that Tommy filled.
Thank you.
All righty, we'll go next to Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on SI.
Zach, it sounds like you certainly made a conscious effort to, try to take that step forward. I'm curious if you're like actively thinking about the idea that, people often say you don't grow unless you put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Are you trying to put yourself in spots, whether it's in the weight room, in the meeting room, on the practice field, things that maybe you haven't done before that feel a little off, a little different, a little uncomfortable? Are you actively trying to do those kinds of things to grow?
Yeah, I am. It's like you said, you can't grow unless you're uncomfortable. You don't grow in your comfort zone. And that's one thing that I try to put myself out of my comfort zone, whether it's the lift, going harder on doing 2 more reps when my arms are tired, or let's say it's a pass rush rep and I'm gassed. It's the last play of the rack, trying to get off as fast as I was the first play, running to the ball just like I was the first play. So just building up my stamina and my endurance. And like you said, putting myself in uncomfortable situations. So when game time rolls around and it's fourth quarter and I got nothing left, I've been there before. I've done that. So I know what it feels like.
All right, we'll do 2 real quick ones to finish up here. We'll go to Dan Hope and then Austin Ward. Dan.
Hey, Zach, Jack Sawyer's another local guy coming in as a freshman. Just wondering, what have you seen from him in winter workouts and then going into his first practice?
Jack's a worker. He's one of those guys who's going to give everything he's got all the time. And Jack's got a lot of skill. Jack's quick. Jack's fluid. So I feel like Jack's going to be a good player here at Ohio State.
All righty, and then last question to Austin Ward.
Zach, we know that Coach Coombs is always intense, but when he was talking with us, he put all the responsibility on himself, maybe for what happened in the title game or any of the weeks the defense maybe didn't play up to its potential. What's he been like to be around? I know it's still pretty early in spring camp, but is there a different level of intensity for him right now?
It's the same energy with Coach Coombs. There's always 100%. He gives 100% of him all the time, and we feed off that. We need a guy like that who's going to bring juice to the defense and get us pumped up and get us going, and a guy that we can put all of our trust in, because I 100% trust in Coach Coombs. So.
All righty, Zach. Thank you very much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All righty, folks. We'll talk to you Monday. Coach Day will talk to you Monday as well.